Hi everyone, welcome to this brief tutorial on how to record for SoundTrap and be collaborative. So you're working with a team of people, whether it's just one other person or multiple people, these tips and tricks will help you. To get started, we need to understand just some basic equipment needs. First and foremost, you're going to need some type of headphones. I'm going to show you some examples, okay? This first example here, this is what comes with many iPhones, and it has a 3.5mm jack like this, and these earbuds. These are great. This will work well. Another option that we'll walk through and this is actually the same kind as the last kind. These are over-the-ear headphones, but what's good if they have the setup where there is a microphone inside the controls. Again, another good situation here. A couple downsides and upsides to either. Upside to this is that it allows sound pass-through, so you'll be able to hear your instrument as well as the metronome and the other people playing. These here are very nice headphones, so super high quality, and what you're going to hear. Downside is because of the noise cancellation in the headphones, not as good of sound pass-through, so you may not hear your instrument quite as well. Could be a little bit more of a challenge if you use noise-canceling headphones, but they can work, just a little bit more effort. We'll also talk about these types of headphones, which are more traditional. There is no microphone in the cable. It's going to rely on your computer microphone, which is fine, but these work too. But just a couple different things we want to take into account when recording with headphones like this. And then finally, the AirPods. So these are the only no-no. Any Bluetooth connected headphones, anything that's wireless, is going to have a delay similar to what we see in Zoom that is going to be frustrating to deal with as you try to record. So there's the equipment, and from there we'll dive in. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just worry about setup. Okay, so step one. We're going to be working with these today because these are, right now, they're sort of the best option, believe it or not. With the sound pass-through and the microphone in the cable, which is here, we're going to be in good shape, okay? So you're going to want to make sure that you put them in your ears and plug them in to your computer before you do anything else. Okay, you have to do this absolutely first. If you don't do it first, all the settings that we're about to play with are going to revert to defaults, and we won't get any of the benefits of adjusting some of these settings to make your sound better. One more thing on the headphones, because I didn't really explain why it's so good to have the microphone in the cable. Well, it's simply put this. So you have your music stand, you have your computer, you have a lot of stuff in a small area, and how do you get it to where your instrument is just not blasting at the microphone and overloading it, causing distortion in your sound? Well, the nice thing about it is that when you're playing and the mic is here, the sound, which is coming out of the bell of the instrument, and many instruments look differently. Clarinet, oboe can have a little bit of a different experience, in which case we might want to talk about a different setup. But in any case, typically, 90% of the cases, this is a good situation. The sound is happening further away, it's aimed away, and so we're going to get a little bit of a better ambient sound of what's coming through the microphone. For the next part, I'm actually going to be sharing my screen, so while you won't see me talking, you'll hear me talking. Okay, so here we are, and we're on our desktop, and I guess maybe I will show you exactly how we got to where we are. I'm going to be giving this demonstration today on Mac. However, I'll talk about where these will exist on a PC. If we run into a lot of issues with this, I'm happy to give a second tutorial video that's just focused on system settings for the PC. So if you run into issues on your Chromebook or on your Windows machine, I'm happy to help out. Just reach out and we'll take it from there. In any case, we go down here to System Preferences. The Windows equivalent is the Control Panel. And in the Control Panel or System Preferences, we're going to find Sound. Okay, when we click on Sound, whether it's in Windows or Control Panel, we're going to see more about our computer. Typically, it will start with some kind of system sounds, and then the output is how you're hearing. So I'm listening to this through the headphones that you saw me plug in, so you can see headphones right there. Okay, and then the input. Okay, so right now, and this is why I said it's so important to make sure you plug in your microphone first, is that when we go to input here, we're going to see the external microphone. Now, if you didn't plug in your headphones, you would see internal microphone, and that's what you're using most of the time when you use Zoom and are interacting with classes. The external microphone is whenever you plug anything into the system. So whatever settings we change will take effect for the external microphone, but won't see as significant of an impact when we are dealing with we'll see a significant impact if we were to change the system. So if we were to unplug this, it goes back to internal, it's going to go back to the default settings, and vice versa. If you made all these changes to the internal microphone and then plug in headphones, it's going to go back to the default settings. So one of the issues that we deal with when recording in is that we overload the microphone. It's just so much sound, and you can see my voice causing the input level to jump up. And when it's getting that much information, the computer, the SoundTrap, it doesn't have any room to deal with it, and so we get these spikes in sound. So when we move this dial, and most of the time it's just a little bit better than 50%, when we move it down, you're going to see, and perhaps even hear a little bit, that the input is significantly down, okay? And this is good. So this way it can take in a large amount of sound, and it will moderate how much of it is actually perceived. Now, the challenges in this can be when we worry about the dynamic range of our playing. But sorry about the bell, teaching from school. Bells still happen. Any case, the good news is that afterwards, once we get the information, if it's solid, there's ways that we can bump the sound of things that are quiet. It is harder to fix the sound of things that are just too loud in the first place. So we're going to leave it down here. Very low, and again, you might even want to grab your instrument and play a little bit just to see what it does. Okay, I'll go ahead and give a demo of that. Okay, so as promised, I wanted to give you a little bit of a demo of what it would look like if we didn't really edit the sound properties and we played an instrument. So I grabbed my trumpet here, and I'm going to show you, and I want you to watch the input level to see exactly what I'm talking about here. So if you notice, the gray dots filled up all the lighter gray dots, and it was maxed. So it was showing you that the computer was really having a hard time handling it because we had so much input. When I pull it way down here, okay, maybe while it affects my voice too, making it quieter, it also makes it much easier to handle what's coming through the trumpet. So the good news in all of this, as I continue to talk to you, I'll turn it back up as my voice, while loud, is not as loud as a trumpet. The good news is when we turned the input level down, we saw that it was no longer maxing out all the gray little dash marks, and therefore it gave us room, and that's what we want to see. Okay, so feel free to just test it here before you go anywhere else. So this is step one in making sure you're set up to record. Now let's take a look at SoundTrap, because there's still one more layer after we've told our computer what for and how to do it. There's still another layer that's going to help us with making the best possible sound into SoundTrap. So we're going to go to this Enter Studio button, and that's because that's where we're going to be doing most of our work. Although a lot of it will be done through a special link. Right now, we'll just go to Enter Project, and I want to show you where these settings are. So we're going to go to Music, right? And here, once in music, we are going to add our track. And so remember, we pick microphone. Even though we're playing an instrument and there are instruments listed here, the input, how it's getting the music, is through the microphone. So we're going to select microphone. All right, and notice here it says external microphone built in. So again, it's telling us that it's using our headphones. If it says internal microphone, we might have a little bit of an issue, okay? So what we're going to work with here is a couple things. First, we're going to turn off this computer mic enhancer because it's assuming you are using the computer's microphone, which they're hit and miss. Some are good, some are bad. So we're going to take this, and what we're going to do is we're going to edit it to this clean, just plain old, nothing special preset. Okay, come back here to the main. Nice thing about the clean is that it already takes the reverb out for you, and that takes us better. And then with the lack of enhancement, it's not going to force us to do things we don't want to do or force things into our sound that we don't want. Second thing is we're going to hit this gear right here. This gear is a volume check, and it's going to help set the levels. So once it sees how much music we coming in, it's going to be able to adjust, okay, for us. So we're going to hit Start Test, and then we'll play a few notes until it tells us that it got enough information. Usually it just needs to hear the loudest kind of sound that you will be playing, so you don't have to blast, but you need to give it some realistic idea of what you're going to be doing. So here we go. So you saw there, and we did hit the 100 or so, but as it continued to adjust, it pulled us down below 80. Again, I was playing at the top of my sound. I wanted to give it the idea. I wasn't really giving it the quiets because it's actually looking to reduce sound in this case. And if I were to play real quiet, it'd probably make the microphone even more sensitive, which is, of course, not what we want because, again, that's easier to deal with. So you'll want to make sure you do that every time you play. So to have the two parts of our getting ready, we make sure our sound and microphone preferences are appropriate, and then the second step is we come in here and we set it up. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, once I hit done here, is I'm going to show you, and I'm going to play a duet with myself on trumpet. I'm going to show you the steps I go through to make that happen. Hi, everybody. Okay, so one thing I forgot during my initial recording, I just want to jump in here and put in, sorry for the grainy low light. It's a rainy Monday morning. I wasn't very clear on how to handle mics with, headphones with no mic input, okay? And so, and there are a lot of headphones like this. There's no wrong answer. Today, I'm going to be using these stylish pink, all right, headphones, and as you can see here, there's definitely no mic input, just tangles. But these work fine. So let me just share the screen real quick, and I'll show you how easy the setup is. You follow all the other guidelines that I shared before, okay? All right, so first things first. Before I do anything, I'm going to make sure that I plug in my headphones, okay? That's always going to be the first step when getting ready to record. Okay, so headphones are plugged in. Then I'm going to go down to System Preferences or Control Panel accordingly, and then going to Sound, okay? Once here, I can see and confirm that the output is, in fact, my headphones. So you can see this. I click Output. I can see my headphones there, headphone port. The input, and you can see the mic is still working because it's using the internal microphone. This is my system computer microphone. So I am going to go and just pull this bad boy on down. Just like that. Now you hear a little bit less. So step one, same as everybody else. All right, for step two, again, very similar. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to select that clean preset just like before, and then I'm going to hit record. Okay, now interesting here, and I'm able to show this here where I wasn't able to show this earlier in the video. I'm going to say I'm not using headphones because I don't like to hear the performance in my ear, and then this way it turns off monitoring, and then then we're ready to go. Test 1, 2, and see it got my my performance right there. So we are in good shape with regular headphones. Just one suggestion I would have is that when you set this up, put your computer, try your computer in different places. Still, of course, you must be plugged in, but try it behind you. Try it to the side of you. Ensure that you're not playing directly at your computer, and you should be in good shape. All right, thank you so much, and on with the video. All right, here we are. We are ready to make our first recording. So I'm doing just a very simple duet. It's the Clark Trumpet Voluntary, at least a version of it. And there's two trumpet parts, the first and the second part. I'm going to be recording the second part first. The second part of this it's very simple, and where when you set up any kind of recording, you sort of go to what's stable, what's providing the percussive, steady atmosphere for which all the musicians usually play and respond to. So here is the second trumpet part of our little arrangement. Now, to help myself, I'm gonna set a time, and I'm gonna tap it in because I have an idea of what this piece is. It's just an andante, so I go down here to the BPM. I'm gonna just tap in. See, maybe I'm guessing probably around 100. Okay, yeah, I like that feel, and now you can hopefully hear it's coming through the metronome. Actually, it's probably actually not coming through, and that's actually one of the benefits. So I'm going to confirm this here at 100. I'm going to make sure I turn the metronome on, and I'll talk about why it's important that the metronome is not audible to you in a moment. But I want to make sure I turn the metronome on. When you're recording, it's so important. The metronome time is the one consistent thing throughout all our performances, and therefore, whenever we're recording, whether we are the first recording, the foundational recording, or whether we're the last, it's good to know where we fall in relationship to the Met. So I'm going to select on, and I'm going to make sure I have a 2-bar count in. Okay, I'm going to turn the volume on the Met up pretty high because I want to make sure that I hear it above all things because I cannot mess with time as I record. The reason why it's important that you can't hear the metronome right now and just have to trust me is that because it's coming through my headphones, and this is the benefit. I want the microphone only to pick up my music. If it can pick up the Met, that means the Met is part of the recording, and that when we go to show other people this music, they will never not be able to hear the Met. As cool as metronomes are, they aren't as good as being part of the musical performance. So, in any case, make sure your headphones are on. You set your tempo to what you want it to be. Turn the metronome on. Make sure you have the 2-bar count in, and then you're going to hit record. One more thing before we get going here. When you're about to hit the record button, it's going to prompt you with a question. The question is, are you wearing headphones? Now, you are wearing headphones, so if you say yes, that's fine. I just want you to know what's going to happen. When you say yes that you're wearing headphones, it's going to monitor the sounds that the microphone's picking up in your earbuds. So that means you're going to hear your voice and you're going to hear your instrument rather in your earbuds. Now, I personally find that distracting, so I actually lie to the machine and say I'm not wearing headphones. It will then mute the monitoring, and that's the process of it giving what's coming in through the microphones through your ears. And I find that a little bit better. I like listening to what's in the room as opposed to hearing what the microphone's hearing. I can listen back to what I play afterwards to focus on that anyway. So just again, there's no wrong answer here, but just as a heads up, this can be something that perhaps you find frustrating. If you do like hearing it come through the earbuds, that's great. And by all means, say that you are wearing headphones and there's no problem there. All right. After you're done, always a good idea to go back, listen to it, and make sure it syncs up with the beat. All right, so we have our first line down, and something I did off camera, and I apologize for it, is I changed the name of our first exercise here. I changed it to Trumpet 2. This way, as you add more tracks, it's easy to keep track of, I'm sorry, you use a track too much. Keep track of who's what in looking at the workstation here. So we changed this to Trumpet 2 just so in the future that we know. But as we get ready to add our next track, we're going to hit add new track. We're going to select microphone. And just like before, we got to teach it what this microphone's like. Because technically speaking, it could be a completely different mic, completely different type of performer. We also got to do the mic test again to make sure it knows what we sound like. All right, once that's done, we're ready to record our next line. All right, here we go. Now the real fun begins. We're going to add in the trumpet 1, the melody line here to Clark's trumpet voluntary. And the nice thing is that performing second or third when you do this collaboratively with someone else is that not only will you hear the met when you perform, but you will actually be able to hear the other performer as you perform. Now, one special thing to note, when you have this, bring in this second mic, make sure you have the second track armed for recording, not the first. Otherwise, it will layer it on top, and you don't want that to happen. All right, so here we go. Let's add it in. Let's see if we can make some music here. All right, so we've recorded our 2 lines. We can see them here. We can see how they're working. And now the fun part to actually hear them together. One of the things that's probably lost in this video because of the headphones is that you don't hear. You could hear what I was playing out loud at the time, but you couldn't hear the other instrument because it was going inside my headphones. Again, that's the goal, because if you can hear it out in the room, it's going to be part of the recording of that individual track, and we don't want that to be the case. But trust me, I could hear it in my headphones. But now, just so that you can hear how it can work together, I'm playing it over my speakers now so that you can take a listen. And so here's our final product. All right, and we can do a lot with levels, and in fact, you can see even before I played this for you here, because I listened to it once before I started the recording, I did change the levels because this was much louder as I was playing higher in the register, and I wanted a little bit more of that harmony. I would go forward with mixing this, and again, like I said, we'll do that in another demo to add even more specialization as we go, and that's what we'll do as a full ensemble too. We'll teach you those skills. In any case, at this point, we make sure we hit save on the project, and so now we have a nice final project, and I hope this was helpful to you. We look forward to you moving forward and doing this with your colleagues, and if we can, of course, be of any assistance and you think of other questions, please do not hesitate to ask. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we've done our project. It's pretty cool, and what you just watched was me demonstrating all the parts as if I were the first player and the second player. But in reality, how you're going to be using this is likely to collaborate with other people in your class that you're not in the same place with. And again, that's one of the big benefits of SoundTrap. So I wanted to illustrate to you how we can add into this project with somebody else. And so who better than Mrs. Baxmeyer, my partner in crime, to make my piece even better than it already is. So I'm going to show you how we add her in and what it's like to have her help out. So in this teal little people icon up here is how we add people to a project. When we add them to the project, they see everything that we see, and we can see how they modify the project in real time, and we can actually have a conversation about it in text and even in video. So we're going to add Mrs. Baxmeyer, so we click the button there, all right, and we're going to hit the plus sign here. We're going to type in A. Baxmeyer, and if she's in the system, which she will be in the system because she's part of our class, and your other classmates will, because on the back end they're part of the class, they will be part of the system as well. We click on her name, we click invite. Now, they're going to get an email that will say, hey, you've been invited. They click the link, and it's going to bring them straight to this document here. And so we see that Mrs. Baxmeyer just joined up. And so the nice, cool thing here, first thing out, we said she's here. She got here at 3:45. We can say hi. And she can chat back with us. We like to say hi to each other, as you can see. But the other cool part here is that we can video call her. So let's give her a video call so we can chat about what ideas she might have about the project.
Mr. Briggs.
Hello, Mrs. Baxmeyer. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Most excellent. So thank you very much for being willing to make my project better. So
Totally.
I know you've listened to it already. What ideas do you have that might be able to help this?
You know, it's cool. It sounds good. The trumpet parts sound really nice. But you know what I think it needs?
What's that?
I think it needs some sick beats.
Sick beats.
Sick
Why
beats.
didn't I think about that? That's great. So
I'm
what do you
gonna
have in
put in
mind?
a
Just
loop.
go at it. Just have at it.
Awesome. I'm gonna browse loops to put in some rhythm and a nice groove underneath this. So one of my favorites is this electro funk. Yeah. So classic. So I'm gonna just drag that and drop that here. Easy peasy.
All right. So we just now got the notification that Mrs. Baxmeyer has made modifications to the project. Okay. And so now we're going to refresh so that we can see the modifications that she has made. Now, good news. We can see her sick beats, and let's listen to what she's brought to the table. All right, Mrs. Baxmeyer, we just loaded up your changes, and now we're going to enjoy this Clark trumpet voluntary with some sick beats in the background. So here we go. Let's take a listen. I love it. It's so much better
awesome.
now. You know what? Watch out, club scene. This is coming at you. Mrs. Baxmeyer, it is always a joy to work with you. Thanks so much for helping me out in my project, and I look forward to adding even more people into this.
Hey, thanks for asking me to collab. That was a lot of fun, and it is always a joy to work with you as well, Mr. Briggs.
All right. Have a nice day.
Hey, you too. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. So hopefully that is helpful to you. You know, the other way. So just make sure you refresh the project when you are working with someone. That way you are always seeing what the current thing is. But this is a great way that you can work with somebody and not be in the same room. All right. Thank you all for watching this. Again, as I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, please reach out. We're learning a lot as we go. And as we come up with other good ways to engage in the project, we'll let you know.